Donald Trump has repeatedly and publicly said that he would debate the Democratic candidate for president anytime, anywhere, any place. But last night and earlier today, he is now publicly suggesting that he's going to back out of the upcoming debate against Vice President Harris, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video. So again, previously, Donald Trump said that he would debate the Democratic candidate for president, and he debated President Biden in late July. It went so disastrously for Trump and Biden that not only did Trump lie a record-breaking number of times, but President Biden ultimately dropped out of the race in large part because of his disastrous performance, undermining confidence in his ability to win the 2020 election. Well, now the Vice President Harris is not only the presumptive Democratic nominee, she is the official Democratic nominee, confirmed by a vote and the Democratic National Convention. Donald Trump is getting second thoughts, even though after waffling previously, the Harris campaign baited him into following through with his agreement and committing to a September 10th ABC debate. Well, now, yesterday and this morning, Trump is publicly suggesting that he won't follow through.
Hostility was incredible, and Reince was in there, but he was a little bit softer than he should be, to be honest with you. But when I looked at the hostility of that, I said, why am I doing it? Let's do it with another network. Hostility was incredible.
So Donald Trump is saying, why? Why am I even doing this? Let's do the debate with another network. Let's go to the Fox Propaganda Network, right? A network, I will remind you, had to pay nearly $800 million to Dominion Voting Systems because they signal boosted Donald Trump's 2020 big lie that the election was stolen. Despite the fact that defamation is so damn difficult to prove in our country, the standard is so high, the Fox Propaganda Network forked over nearly $1 billion because the case was so open and shut that they did defame Dominion Voting Systems by knowingly signal boosting the lies of Donald Trump. So not that any news network is totally unbiased, but Fox is obviously demonstrably, according to polls, according to surveys, and according to that $800 million defamation settlement for which there is no counterpart on MSNBC or CNN or ABC or anywhere else, they would be the most biased source imaginable. But it wasn't just that clip. Donald Trump also went on Truth Social. I watched the ABC fake news this morning, both lightweight reporter Jonathan Karl's ridiculous and biased interview of Tom Cotton, who was fantastic, and their so-called panel of Trump haters. And I ask, why would I do the debate against Kamala Harris on that network? Will panelist Donna Brazile give questions to the Marxist candidate like she did for crooked Hillary Clinton? Will Kamala's best friend who heads up ABC do likewise? Where is little George Stephanopoulos hanging out right now? Will he be involved? They've got a lot of questions to answer. Why did Harris turn down Fox, NBC, CBS, and even CNN? Stay tuned. Well, number one, there was a CNN debate. It was between Trump and, again, President Biden, number one. Number two, the Harris campaign's position is, listen, before we even consider different debates, you will honor the terms of the debate you made. And I think this is really important. I think it's fair for the vice president to leave the door open to subsequent debates. But I think it's also fair to say, Trump, you're not dictating the terms here. I'm the vice president. You're merely a former president. I'm winning in the polls. You're not. You already made a commitment. And before I even entertain making a new deal with you, you will honor the terms of your old deal as a sign of good faith. I love that energy. Caitlyn Collins from CNN, we'll play a clip from her in just a minute because she prophesied this. She's talking about this morning. The Trump campaign is now saying debates can't be scheduled until the Democratic nominee is official, even though Biden was not officially the Democratic nominee at the last debate. And I'm sorry, I should say that this is from several weeks ago before the vice president became the official Democratic nominee. The reason I brought this up, though, is because that was their excuse before the vice president became the official Democratic nominee. The Trump campaign was clearly getting cold feet, and they were like, well, listen, I mean, we don't know who really is going to be the Democratic candidate anyway, so we're not going to follow through on the deal. And Caitlyn Collins was pointing out, well, listen, you didn't actually make a deal to debate Joe Biden. If you actually look at the verbiage of the deal, the press releases and everything accordingly, I mean, President Biden himself was not the Democratic nominee. Donald Trump wasn't the Democratic nominee, or excuse me, the Republican nominee during that first debate. Neither of them were the official party nominees. But the debate was had anyway. It wasn't a deal made specifically with Biden. The deal was the presumptive Democratic nominee and the presumptive Republican nominee. Between that first debate with Biden and now, both Harris and Trump are the official nominees of their parties. So what I'm saying is that Trump, or if you hear Trump or Trump supporters say, we made the deal with Joe Biden, so we're not obligated to uphold our end of the deal with Harris, it's just not true. The verbiage wasn't there, and neither of them were their party's official nominees at the time of that first debate, and they had the first debate anyway. It is clearly because Trump is scared to debate the vice president. Caitlyn Collins was also on an episode of Real Time with Bill Maher over the weekend when this topic came up, and she actually had a disagreement with Democratic strategist James Carville about the debate, and this was in front of Trump-supporting Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Now, again, this was over the weekend. This was prior to Trump publicly panicking yesterday and today about the debate and threatening to not participate in it.
I think the debate on September 10th is going to be so consequential, and it's going to have an audience that we can't believe, because what does America love? A train wreck. And they had one on June the 27th. And they want another train wreck.
I agree on that. Do you guys have that debate?
It's ABC debate.
ABC debate.
If it happens, I still think it's an open question of
really?
whether or not it happens.
Trump's going to go. He's got to.
You think Trump is going to pull out?
I think Trump is nervous about it. I think I talked to a lot of sources in his world. I think he has really struggled with it. It's not just a narrative or a talking point from Democrats. He really has struggled with how to combat her. And I think going into that debate, he does not really want to do it. I think it's difficult, if not impossible, for him to pull out, because his campaign manager had cards printed that said anywhere, anytime, any place for President Biden, and it would look weak. But I don't think he's looking forward to it at this point.
No.
I think the specter of September 18th is driving him crazy. He's going to have to sit in that courtroom, and that judge is going to lecture him. Now, I don't know if he's going to have jail time, but there's going to be some imposition on his liberty.
And James Carville and Caitlyn Collins just disagree on the debate. Carville believes that Trump has put himself in a position where he must follow through on the debate or further lose momentum and be seen as a coward. Caitlyn Collins takes the position that, again, that whatever potential blowback comes from that Trump fears an unsuccessful debate with the vice president where she defeats him, which she almost certainly would, that is more consequential and more damaging to him than backing out of the debate and trying to save face. Now, for her part, this is what the vice president's team has responded. The vice president is ready to deal with Trump's constant lies. Trump should stop hiding behind the mute button. We have told ABC and other networks seeking to host a possible October debate that we believe both candidates should be live throughout the full debate. Our understanding is that Trump's handlers prefer the muted microphone because they don't think their candidate can act presidential for 90 minutes on his own. We suspect Trump's team has not even told their boss about this dispute because it would be too embarrassing to admit that they don't think he can handle himself against Vice President Harris without the benefit of a mute button. The vice president is ready to deal with Trump's constant lies and interruptions in real time. Trump should stop hiding behind the mute button. So clearly, Vice President Harris not only wants to have the debate, not only is once again challenging Donald Trump, but she's saying, hey, the muted microphones which were present in the previous debate, which many of us believe was something that the Democratic Party was trying to impose in order to allow President Biden to try to make a coherent case for his candidacy without being constantly heckled by Donald Trump. And by the way, that's something that Trump did nonstop in 2016 and particularly in 2020 against President Biden. He couldn't help himself. He just reflexively wouldn't shut his mouth and constantly heckled from the peanut gallery with interruptions and insults. It also had the added benefit of making Trump look worse in the post-debate polling, but I digress. There was a question about who really wanted the muted mics. Was it Trump, so that Trump wouldn't fall into temptation to be Trump-like and thus lose the debate in the eyes of Americans? Or was it President Biden, who wanted to be able to make a damn case without being constantly interrupted? I could see either way, but what the vice president is saying is actually, no, it wasn't the Democrats. It was Trump and Trump's team. I don't know if that was smack talking or what, but it obviously will have the intended effect, I expect, of attacking and challenging Trump's fragile ego and also throwing his team under the bus and potentially creating internal schisms within the Trump campaign. Trump could potentially turn to a staff like, wait, so you all were responsible for the muted mics thing? You all don't think that I can handle it? That's a brilliant strategy on the vice president's part. Lastly, I want to play this clip from Jamie Harrison, the chairman of the Democratic National Convention, basically the counterpart to Laura Trump and formerly Ronna McDaniel, basically the head of the DNC, who is responsible for the fundraising and the dispensation of funds and the organizing to try to get the vice president and other Democrats elected. This is what he has to say about the overall political momentum and why Donald Trump might be a bit timid at the moment.
When you look at it, Kamala Harris has been getting bigger crowds than Donald Trump. Kamala Harris has been getting more volunteers than Donald Trump. Kamala Harris has been getting better ratings than Donald Trump's, raised more money than Donald Trump. And we are going to win this race. And he's scared about that. He's scared, to be beaten by this woman, this black woman who is so capable and so intelligent and is probably the most equipped person to be president of the United States walking on the face of this earth. And so we're going to continue to press the case. We're going to continue to run as if we're down. We're going to continue to go all around this country, making sure that our message of freedom and joy and hope is resonant, but also that we are committed to making America great for all of America's people. And we know that.
So yeah, he's talking about the successes. I mean, the DNC itself wildly exceeded expectations. We'll continue to talk about that because it's staggering. The fundraising, the polling, the energy, the laudits, the plaudits. These are all incredible things. But yeah, as of this moment, looks like Donald Trump is looking for a way to bail out of the upcoming debate against the vice president. Whether or not he will, I don't know. I'm not a prophet. I think that the vice president will continue to try to bait and needle him. But I will say, in terms of substance, he will almost certainly lose that debate. And I understand, just as a student of politics, why he is desperate to avoid it. But either way, it seems like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. He's going to be tarred and feathered as weak and fragile if he doesn't uphold the debate. If he does uphold the debate, he's very likely to lose it in terms of both style and substance. So it's a catch-22 for Trump, for which I have no sympathy, and neither should you. And in the meantime, let's bask in his cowardice and his public panic. Let me know what you think in the comments.